At Senor Joachim's small farm, where happy animals roamed amidst lush meadows under an endless blue sky, there was a donkey who stood out not for contagious joy, but for the constant sadness that surrounded him. His name was Balthazar. While other animals played and enjoyed life on the farm, Balthazar spent his days with a heavy heart, lacking the enthusiasm to join the activities that brighten the fields. Day after day, he preferred to lie in the barn, contemplating the world through the cracks in the weathered wood. His food remained untouched, his energy drained, silently wondering why he couldn't find the same happiness he saw in the other animals. On calm nights, Balthazar gazed at the starry sky, seeking answers among the stars, questioning God why he felt constant sadness, why his body didn't respond to his commands, why finding the will to live fully seemed so difficult. One day, at the peak of his despair, Balthazar lifted his weary gaze to the sky and murmured with a choked voice, "Lord, why have you forsaken me? Do you no longer love me? This humble servant whom you created to live like this, sad and disheartened." It was in this moment of deep introspection and pain that something wonderful happened. A gentle breeze caressed his face, and Balthazar felt an inexplicable calmness fill his heart. Suddenly, a wise owl perched on the barn window sill looked into Balthazar's sad eyes and spoke with a serene voice. "Little Balthazar, do not think that God has abandoned you. He never forsakes his children. Sometimes, the dark clouds of sadness and disillusionment make us forget the light that shines within us. You were created for a special purpose, and that purpose is not to dwell in darkness, but to spread your unique light throughout the world." Balthazar listened attentively to the owl's words and felt a renewed strength coursing through his veins. For the first time in a long while, he stood up with determination. The other animals, who had seen the donkey resigned before, now watched him walk with steady steps and bright eyes, approaching curiously. From that day on, Balthazar discovered that even in difficulties, there was hidden beauty. He began to reintegrate into the farm activities, finding joy in simple things like sunrise, the smell of wet earth after rain, and the smiles of his animal friends. Everyone on the farm noticed Balthazar's transformation. He became a symbol of perseverance and hope, inspiring others with his new attitude and determination to live fully, no matter what challenges came his way. Thus, at Senor Joachim's small farm, where happy animals played under the sun, Balthazar found his own happiness, no longer with a downcast spirit, but rising to embrace life with all his heart. On the farm, the donkey Balthazar lived through dark days, enveloped in a sadness that seemed never-ending. "Why have you forsaken me? I am so afraid to live that for me, it would be best to leave this earth," he murmured to himself, while observing the vibrant life around him. Not even the arrival of spring, with its colorful blossoming flowers and singing birds, could penetrate the veil of melancholy covering his heart. One day, while resting in the shade of a tree, Balthazar was approached by a graceful butterfly named Lucia. She immediately noticed the sadness in the donkey's eyes and decided to try to help. "Why are you so sad, Balthazar?" Lucia gently asked, alighting delicately on his muzzle. Balthazar sighed deeply and confessed, "I don't know, Lucia. I feel an emptiness inside me that I can't explain. Nothing seems to make sense anymore." Lucia, with her gentle wisdom, suggested to Balthazar, "Have you tried talking to God?" Balthazar nodded, saying he had, but felt his words went unheard. In the silence of a distressing night, Balthazar faced an overwhelming bout of depression. He felt a tightness in his chest, a deep anguish that further isolated him, unable to find solace anywhere. Noticing Balthazar's absence, Lucia flew to him with loving determination and offered her presence. "I'm here with you, Balthazar. You don't have to face this alone," she said softly. Then, Lucia had an idea. She suggested that Balthazar and she visit the wise owl of the forest, known for its words of wisdom and understanding. Upon meeting the owl, it greeted them calmly and listened attentively to Balthazar's words. With a voice echoing calm and depth, the owl said, "Sometimes, deep sadness comes from a place we do not understand. But remembering that you are not alone and that there are those who care can be the first step toward finding a little light." Those words resonated in Balthazar's heart. He realized he didn't have to carry his invisible burden alone. With the support of Lucia, the wise owl, and nature itself, Balthazar began to find a way out of the darkness. He learned that sadness is not the end, but rather a temporary chapter in life's journey. Over time, Balthazar rediscovered joy in small things. In the sun warming his back, in the scent of flowers, in the bird's song. He understood that life was a precious gift, and every moment, no matter how difficult, contained the seed of hope. Thus, on the farm that once seemed shrouded in shadows, Balthazar became a symbol of resilience and overcoming. He discovered that even in the darkest days, there is always a light waiting to be found, if we have the courage to seek it. And with the loving support of friends like Lucia and the wisdom of the owl, Balthazar learned to transform his sadness into strength and his pain into spiritual growth. And so continued the story of Balthazar, an inspiring testament to how compassion and hope can flourish even in the most disheartened hearts. In the dim of night, the donkey Balthazar finally poured out his anguish to the wise owl. "Madam Owl, forgive me. Could you help me? I cry out to God, but he does not answer me. I feel alone, unsupported, as if I'm in a dark hole where I only hear my already weak breathing." Balthazar confessed, his voice choked with sadness. The owl, with her ancient serenity, responded calmly, "Sir Donkey, God is everywhere, in the air you breathe, in the life of that butterfly that reached out to you, in my life dedicated to serving the kingdom of God to help those who seek me, and in the lives of all who live on this farm and throughout the world. You just need to open your heart and let Jesus enter, to be the Lord of your life. This emptiness you feel is the absence of him in your heart." Balthazar listened attentively, even though he still felt doubt and a heavy burden in his chest. Complaining does not move God's hand in your favor, but crying out to God in sincere supplication and acknowledging that Jesus is the Lord of your life moves God's heart. He accepts you as a son, no longer just a creature. Continued the owl, her words penetrating deep into the donkey's soul. To love God is to do good to others, to love your own life, and to repay evil with good. Perhaps you could focus on a daily exercise. Actually, I challenge you to do a daily exercise. Every day, for a week, do good for someone, perform an act of charity, bring a flower to someone, give a smile even when you don't feel like it, proposed the owl wisely. But Balthazar, confused, interrupted with sincere perplexity, "But Madam Owl, this doesn't make sense to me." The owl, with a glint of understanding in her eyes, replied with gentle firmness, "Just do it. Come back here after a week." In the days that followed, Balthazar tried to follow the owl's advice, but during a task on the farm, he had another crisis. He felt powerless and worthless, believing he would never be capable of doing anything right. In this dark moment, the hen Matilda and the dog, Rex, and the cow Mimosa noticed Balthazar's distress. Without hesitation, Rex stood quietly by the donkey's side, offering his comforting presence. Meanwhile, Mimosa, with her gentle nature, told funny stories in hopes of bringing some lightness to Balthazar's heavy heart. Gradually, seeds of relief began to sprout in Balthazar's heart. He started to remember the reassuring words of the wise owl and, day by day, decided to practice the teachings he had received. Balthazar handed flowers to a lonely ladybug he found in the garden, smiled at a grumpy heron lurking by the pond, and even allowed himself to hug some bears in the nearby forest. As the days passed, although each small task was a battle against his own melancholy, Balthazar began to feel a faint glimmer of hope returning to his being. Lucia, always by his side with love and patience, suggested that Balthazar talk to Mr. Joachim about his feelings. With renewed courage, the donkey approached the farmer and openly shared his struggle with depression. Mr. Joachim, who always harbored a special affection for Balthazar, did not hesitate to seek professional help. A veterinarian specializing in animal mental health was called to assess Balthazar and initiate appropriate treatment. With the continued support of Lucia, Rex, Mimosa, and Mr. Joachim himself, the treatment began to show encouraging results. Balthazar gradually rediscovered his vitality. He realized that even in the depths of pain, there was a loving community around him, ready to help him find his way back to the light. Each small gesture of kindness and every moment of support were like rays of sunshine piercing the dark clouds around him. Thus, the farm, which had already witnessed many stories of joy and hard work, now celebrated a new chapter, Balthazar's rebirth. His journey of healing not only restored his own hope, but also inspired everyone around him to value compassion and the importance of reaching out to those in need. And so, Balthazar, with his determination and the loving support of his community, continued to walk towards complete recovery, reminding everyone that even in the darkest moments, there is always a light to be found if we keep our hearts open and our faith unwavering. On a peaceful afternoon, Balthazar finally managed to join in a playful activity with the other farm animals. It was a small victory, but immensely significant for him. His animal friends wasted no time in celebrating, reinforcing the importance of each step on the path to recovery. Despite facing lingering sadness, Balthazar learned to cherish every moment of joy and the importance of sharing his feelings. His friends and Senor Joachim continued to stand by his side, ready to offer support whenever needed. Each crisis turned into an opportunity to learn and grow, and Balthazar deeply understood that recovery is a continuous process, filled with challenges and accomplishments. Upon completing the 7-day challenge proposed by the owl, Balthazar went to speak with her. He humbly explained that he had crises along the way, that each day was a struggle to complete the simple tasks assigned to him. However, with sacrifice and determination, he had finished. The owl looked at Balthazar with tenderness and pride in her eyes. "Balthazar, I am very proud of you," she said softly, yet with admiration. "You have shown a courage and perseverance that go beyond words. Each challenge you faced was a step toward your healing. You have discovered that even in difficulties, there is a strength within you capable of overcoming any obstacle." Balthazar smiled shyly, feeling a comforting warmth fill his heart. He realized that his journey of overcoming was not just about conquering sadness, but also about discovering his own inner strength and the unconditional love surrounding him. With the blessing and recognition of the wise owl, Balthazar felt renewed in hope. He knew there would still be challenges ahead, but now he was certain he was not alone. With his friends by his side and the wisdom gained, he was ready to face the future with confidence and determination. Thus, at Senor Joachim's farm, where the animals lived in harmony, Balthazar became a living example of how perseverance, faith, and mutual support can transform pain into growth and sadness into joy. His story inspired not only the farm residents but all who heard about the courage of a donkey who chose to confront his shadows and find light once more. Balthazar stepped out of his comfort zone and began sharing the best within his heart with others. He learned, through the wise words of the owl, that this was exactly what God wanted from him: more gratitude and less complaint. Balthazar embraced this lesson fervently, aware that one day his life would be filled with achievements and satisfaction, giving him every reason to be thankful. Every day, Balthazar practiced the owl's teachings. Gradually, everyone on the farm began to notice his evolution. The animals congratulated him and thanked him for bringing so much good to everyone living there. As a result, Balthazar began to feel more useful and valued than ever on the farm. Balthazar's story is a powerful reminder that we are never alone. Even in the toughest battles, such as depression, God is by our side. His love for us is eternal and unwavering, as reminded in Romans 8 verses 38 to 39. We can find refuge in prayer, handing over our worries to Him, for Jesus promises rest, as stated in Matthew 11 verse 28. Believing in hope and healing, trusting in God's plans for us, is crucial. We don't need to face this struggle alone. We can seek support in our faith community, where we find support and encouragement. It's essential to value ourselves and recognize our own worth, practicing gratitude daily by finding small things for which to be thankful. The journey to healing is gradual, and each step toward the light is valuable. Like Balthazar, we can learn to transform our difficulties into opportunities for spiritual and personal growth, trusting in God's loving presence and the strength of the community around us. In Balthazar's journey, the faith, hope, and strength from the Lord proved to be the anchor that helped him overcome each challenge. He faced the difficult battle against depression with determination, aware that he was not alone. He learned to cling to God and his loved ones, finding support and unconditional love every step of the way. Even in the darkest moments, Balthazar was reminded that there was always someone who loved him deeply and eagerly awaited his recovery. He was surrounded by encouragement and prayers from those around him who never stopped rooting for him. Over time, Balthazar began to see a light where there had once been only darkness. Every small victory, every day he found a reason to smile, was a living testimony to his resilience and God's grace in his life. He discovered that even in moments of greatest despair, faith can pave ways where there seems to be no way out. Balthazar's story is an inspiring reminder that with faith and support, it is possible to overcome even life's toughest phases. It teaches us that the healing journey is not just a matter of time, but also of trust in the divine plan. May each challenge strengthen us, and may each tear be transformed into a seed of hope for a better tomorrow. May God bless every step of your journey and illuminate your path with His infinite mercy and love. And may through your story, others find the inspiration and strength to keep fighting, knowing they are never alone.